I'm waiting to start at 12:15 Central Time. That's where I am in Chicagoland. And I just want to welcome anyone who's popped on and thank you for taking a pause, making this happen to connect to your nervous system and with me. And I want to do this for many reasons. I had recorded a video on Tuesday that's posted on my YouTube channel describing a little bit more about this, what I'm doing. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. I have a master's in human development and family studies. And really, I want to show up as a fellow human being who we all have a nervous system. We're all in relationships. And that is what I love to specialize in. And we, as a collective humanity, have gone through a pandemic, and wars are happening, and immense division and polarization is happening in my own country at this time. And amongst that, we all have personal matters. I share in that video, I recently lost my mother. I have to move. And again, I have more things going on in my life that weigh on me heavily. And we all do. So it's not about, I want to show up, not, we are all suffering in degrees. Our nervous system, I often hear from people, oh, but people have it worse. Yes, there's a war going on. Yes, absolutely. Those are horrible things. Fires and, I'm not denying those are worse and horrible things. And if you look at the back, yes, you can distinctly say some things are worse than others. However, each of us only has our nervous system, and all we know is what we know. And so it's so important that you come and show up to yourself, because that's all you know. And this is my cat Babs, which actually, little side story for Joy, um, uh, came the day that this kitten appeared at my sister's, the day my mother passed away. And we actually named the cat after my mother, Babs. So how fitting Babs has joined here. But going back, that our nervous system can only handle so much. And as I mentioned, my master's in human development, I love studying and understand how we can maximize human potential. And the sad reality, even in this US, where we think we have so many resources, we are actually doing a lot of damage and disservice to our nervous systems and not maximizing our human potential. And what I'm doing, I'm just going to talk for, my hope is just to do these Tuesdays and Thursdays for 15 minutes to give your nervous system an opportunity to pause and to rest and digest and process the buildup of things. And I'm going to use the example of our cell phones. Many of us, some people don't, but many of us have this cell phone, and it really blows me away. And I do this for myself, like how attuned we are to when that battery is low, and how much we will plan around our destinations and chargers and make sure we have it so that we can keep it charged. Yet, how little we do that for our own nervous system. And the same thing with cars. So, even before, I've been using this metaphor, had my own practice since 2003, and I would use the metaphor as a car. Think about when we use the car. Like, we see when that gas tank is going low. We literally have an indicator on that car to let us know that it needs fuel. And yet, I parent-child relationship is what I also love to focus on. And we're born, no one has a manual, but actually, when you get in touch with your nervous system, you actually can start to figure out what your unique manual is to help run your best and perform the best. And so it's easier with the car. It's easier with our phones and our devices, because there's these nice little things that let you know. And so what I want to do in these moments, on these Tuesdays and Thursdays, is my commitment, not only for you, but for myself, because what we want to create in this world, we have to start from within. And even though I work, I'm a relationship counselor, and it's lovely to have wonderful support systems, and we actually need support systems to help that. A lot of our growth and healing starts from us, especially when we're out of our parents' house over the age of 18. We need to take responsibility for our well-being and all that. So I wanted to provide a consistent opportunity to do this, which consistency is also key. If you continue to keep joining in, I appreciate that, as I love to teach about neuroscience and what is the science behind why consistency matters, showing up and keeping your commitments to yourself. And as I mentioned, just like with the car, we have these indicators and our nervous systems. What happens as we are human bodies, our minds and our psyches and our hearts are like phenomenal. It's amazing what we can do. And like I said, we still have so much more potential. It's unbelievable. Um, that our signals are tension, headaches, illness, dis-ease. So dis-ease, a lot of diagnoses come from the buildup of unprocessed stress, unprocessed toxins. And our society, we think we've gotten easier because we find all these amazing things to make life easier and more accommodating. However, we are actually not allowing opportunities to build skills and opportunities to process toxins and so that we can learn these innate skills and abilities that we have and activate these amazing potential in our nervous systems. And why it's so important to take some time to let just to connect to your nervous system. It's amazing. And we don't realize the other consequence happens, not just illness, it's also our tone is usually the first thing to also get affected. Our facial features are usually the first things that are showing distress. And we don't always feel that, but our people, especially the ones closest to us, it's like we will show up at work and put on our best face and do our best. And then we come home to the people we love, and those events, those little 24, those demands that happen to you at work will now come out if you didn't make any space to process, if you didn't make any time for yourself to nurture your mind and your body and spirit, are going to come out on the people you love most. And a lot of that time, it's our children who are the most vulnerable and receptive to our stressors. I can go on and on about why this is so important. So that's why I just thought I need this too, and I do this. And fortunately, I know the gains. I have created a life for myself that really makes sure I have time to rest. And I wanted to just weave it in and share it with everybody else. So what I'm going to walk us through is a deep breathing exercise that I do at the start of all my sessions. And I'll tweak it a little bit depending on what's going on, but this is the gist of it, where I invite you to take a moment and breathe in through your nose. Exhale long through your mouth. And I encourage you to take a few more conscious deep breaths, at least 3, where you're really breathing in through your nose and imagine filling up your lungs. And sometimes it can help to take a color. So you can imagine your favorite color if that helps, to breathe in, fill it up to your lungs. And as you're breathing, if you notice any areas of tension, again, every body is different. Some people carry it in their shoulders, some people carry it in their heads, some people carry it in their fist. Just notice where you're carrying tension. And when you breathe in, imagine your favorite color filling up your lungs and expanding to the areas of tension and trying to get as far as you can from head to toe. No judgment. If you're feeling uncomfortable, notice that and anchor back into your breath. And when you exhale long through your mouth, you're actually communicating to your nervous system that you are indeed safe and in control. I love using the metaphor of a car because our nervous system operates kind of like an automatic nervous system. We call it an autonomic nervous system that we have. But really, it shifts through gears when we're feeling um, a sense of threat. And I always want to remind people threat doesn't mean it's an actual threat. It actually can be a perceived threat. And I'll talk more and more about that. So, and it just takes an eighth of a second. That's a blink of an eye for your nervous system. It's a neuroception process that will activate this response in you. So even pausing, if you're joining me at your work office or you're joining me at home, and whatever, and a potential threat can be a sound. It could be, oh my goodness, I didn't do this. I'm taking time here. And just notice what comes up. I'm also walking you through the process of mindfulness. Mindfulness is paying attention in a peculiar way without judgment and with compassion. And I add with curiosity. So I'm just going to kind of role model as I'm breathing. I've noticed some interesting sounds. I'm curious what those sounds are. I'm noticing a part of me is curious. My eyes kind of want to scroll down to see if anybody's online. But then a part of me doesn't want to see I'm real. That's why I want to do this. I want to show up as my authentic, vulnerable human being, as I'm just like you, living in a really chaotic world right now. So I'm noticing that. I tend to carry tension in my low back. I'm noticing a little tension there. And it's completely normal and natural. Again, there's no right or wrong here. I also use IFS therapy, internal family systems. I'll often say all parts welcomed. So as you work with me, I educate more about that. Um, there's no judgment here. And so if this is uncomfortable for you, just notice that, witness it, take another breath, or you can even just turn off and go finish whatever you're doing. Agency, having a sense of agency and control is really important to healing and to processing stress and to moving forward. Let's again take in another breath. Exhale long through your mouth. And during this time, I will acknowledge that because often we keep going and going and going and we don't stop and make this happen, it would not be unusual if all of a sudden some bigger emotions or some images come up or some memories come up that you haven't been dealing with. Typically, this is why we may have nightmares, is because stuff that hasn't been working through is coming through in our night. Sleep is vital. I should talk more about that. Yet, this is kind of a moment to give your body an opportunity to pause and rest. And so, if you noticed anything big come up, the very bare minimum I suggest is just say, I see that. That's interesting. I don't have time to follow. Like, we can put boundaries. I'll talk more about boundaries. We can put a little boundary around that. Like, we circle it, highlight it. I see you. Say, I noticed that. That's interesting. I'll check in with that another time later. Right now, it's my middle of the day. I have to get back to other things. And then breathe. As I mentioned, that color in, you can think about a color. You can also think about a color as you blow out. So if there's negative things too that were coming up, you can also imagine them just blowing out. And as you've been taking a few of these breaths, I just want you to scan from head to toe and notice if you felt any new sensations after taking nurturing, conscious, deep breaths. And it's okay if you didn't. And it's totally normal. And this is why consistency is key. You'll often hear me say that it takes on average 21 times to repeat a new skill before you actually make a new secure connection within your mind, body, spirit, and any of those relationships you're in. So I really appreciate you showing up today and giving yourself just a 15-minute pause. I'm going to be doing this Tuesdays and Thursdays and weaving in my knowledge of human development, neuroscience, and how to maximize human potential and create sustainable peace. It really is possible, and it starts here. Thank you, and take wonderful care.